I'm like, I feel like it's been forever since I've been to team meeting. I love it here. Why do I skip this? I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't think if I push this button, I'll screw it. But I guess if they can't hear on Zoom, then they'll tell me. Or they'll tell somebody, and maybe somebody will hear it, but I don't know. Welcome to team meeting, guys. Let's have a couple quick bucket fills to get started. I want to make sure that we give our guests enough time today, but I would love to have like 2 to 3 quick little bucket fills. Anybody? Bradley.
I'll bucket fill Rusty. I called her last night about the contract. I appreciate you for answering the phone at 10 o'clock.
Of course, you're welcome. First contract written.
Yes.
An open house.
What? Do open houses work if done right?
Yes.
Yeah, they certainly do. Good job. Love it. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll fill Tim's bucket. He's been focusing on script practice with me for the last 2 weeks, so knocked that out a lot. So I appreciate it.
Love it. Do you feel more comfortable with your conversations?
No.
I've been listening to you. I think you sound way better, just so you know.
Thank you.
Practice makes perfect. Okay, love it. Anyone else? Okay, moving along. This week, today, we have Tech Bar with Bradley from 1:30 to 2:30. This is a great time for you to just come, bring whatever tech questions that you have. Tomorrow and Thursday, 9:30 is the Art of Conversations with Tim and Allison. Marcos was kind of lonely in there today, guys. So maybe show up and let's practice some scripts together. What's it gonna hurt? You might just get better at what you're doing. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday at 1 p.m. there's a Canva training with Scott Lorry Marketing on Zoom. If you guys have not heard yet, we have a partnership agreement with Canva. And on our leadership call yesterday, we already have more users through our Canva partnership than any other flagship partnership like this at any other company. So it's kind of a big deal. There is tons of templates for you to use. Our brand information is already uploaded in there. More will continue coming, but it's a free Canva Pro account. If you have questions about that, Scott Lorry Marketing, which if you're like, what is Scott Lorry Marketing? Scott Lorry Marketing is a service that's a marketing service that we pay for that you guys get to use for free. So if you have a new listing, for example, you can email Scott Lorry Marketing and ask them to create materials for you. You can have them create all kinds of different things, help with your website, whatever, but they are focusing on Canva. So that's online. And then Thursday from 11 to 12, Bradley is going to be talking about perfecting your new buyer drip campaign. Bradley, do you want to say anything about that?
Sure. So a couple weeks ago, we went over building it out using AI. This week, we're just going to finish it. So we didn't have enough time sort of build out the rest of the emails. Talk about how we can just need to put the emails through ChatGPT to kind of get the result we want.
Love it. And then also on Thursday from 2 to 2:30. So Kimber Walton, as you guys know, is our region tech trainer. But she is diving deep into all things with the Canva release. And this is just open Q&A. So if you've logged in and you have questions on how the Canva integration works, or maybe you already have a pro account, you want to know what to do and how these things are going to work together and live in the same land, come to that Thursday Zoom from 2 to 2:30. It will be in the recap email and Kimber Walton will answer. It's just open Q&A. So she'll come with some stuff, but bring your questions. And then Thursday at 3:30 is Tim's going away party. So come and join us for that as well. Please, I'm going to get to it so you can RSVP. Please RSVP to have
More than that
with that guy.
the whole day.
So we just do need a number. So if you'll RSVP, please, and come help us send Tim off in true KW fashion.
Whoa.
Oh, you didn't get it? Was somebody trying to scam? Got it? Hey, everybody got it. Okay, cool. If you're online and you need the link, maybe just drop your name in the comments. The Canva release, this is open office hours. Again, just a reminder, this is the Zoom. Here's how you're going to join. This will also go out in your weekly recap email, right, Bradley?
Yep.
So you can join that. It's open to all KW associates. Canva Pro overview with Scott Lorry Marketing. These are the ones that we just talked about. Look at all those dates you have available at 1 p.m. Scott Lorry Marketing. You can also scan, so you can join live. You can also scan to watch the recording. So these are all recorded. Here's if I was gonna tell you a good order of things that might work. Read your email that came from KWI that talks about Canva integration, how to log in, what to do. Next, watch one of these recordings and start doing some of the things. And then last, on Thursday, pop into Kimber's class with any additional questions. And then also, very, very last, this one, very, very last, give us a little bit of grace, as this is new for all of us too. I think sometimes there's this misconception that they roll it out to leadership first and we're just all trained up and ready to roll on it. But this was a live launch for every single person, got launched live at the same time. So we're just quickly working behind the scenes to learn it as quickly as possible. But already all your templates, your logo, all of that is already in your Canva integrated KW account. Ignite is starting on September 15th. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 5 to 8. It is in person and on Zoom. I am going to highly encourage you, and I'm talking to you people on Zoom right now because I know you love Zoom, and I love Zoom too, but here's what's a little bit challenging with Zoom and Ignite. If you are an instructor, it is harder to engage with two different people, particularly in a smaller room with like Ignite. And so Ignite is designed for anybody that is not doing at least 15 to 20 transactions a year, is what Ignite initially was designed for. I hear all the time that we've got to get back to basics or that we skipped some steps. Sometimes we get so busy, we just jump in and start rolling with it. And now that the market has changed a little bit, maybe we need to go back to some of those basics. So everybody is welcome to this. You do not have to attend every single session, but you should register if you want to attend any of them, because then you'll get the dates and links for all of them. Is that a lie, Bradley, or is that true?
That is true.
That will happen. Yes, you'll get, so if you register, you'll get all the links. So share this too with somebody that you may know that maybe needs a little help on their listing presentation or how to win with buyers. And those are going to be coming up.
And we're doing a 3-day-a-week format.
3-day-a-week format
instead
instead of every day
every
for 2
day.
weeks. Yep.
We're making it long and drawn out. We're hoping that gives everybody enough time to implement what they're learning. As well.
If you just sit in a classroom for learning's sake and you don't actually go take any of it, you are going to be the smartest broke agent around. It's just true. So don't just show up and hear all the things and go, that's great, and walk out of the room and don't do anything. Make the calls that you're committing to call that week. Make the social media posts you're going to do. Send out the thank you cards. Do the things that are encouraging you to do it, because if you do that, it's actually just a proven path to success. We're just building your pathway. Bites and Insights, we are going to be doing our Building a Killer CMA on September 24th. This is going to be a little different. We're not going to be doing it panel style. We're going to actually walk through. I think you guys are going to get a lot of good tips on like getting inside, jumping inside of an appraiser's mind today, which is super exciting. And it's going to help you build a better CMA, but we're going to just peel back the layers. I want you guys to come, be interactive, share with each other. Bites and Insights is one of my favorite. Our next AI class is coming up on September 26th from 11 to 12:15. This one is lead gen in the age of AI, a smarter way to fill your pipeline. Who would like a fuller pipeline and to not have to work your ass off to get it? AI does it. You guys, I've seen a lot of people that do heavy, that are really heavily into AI. If you guys follow Rachel Adam Lee, she's awesome. She's talking about the same thing. Her last like 3 sellers have come from ads and things that she's doing that she's targeting them specifically through AI. So make sure you attend that. This is on Zoom. Trunk or treat. Last chance to sign up. If you want to join our trunk or treat on October 22nd, this is going to be, is there anyone from the committee in the room that wants to talk about it? Jesse, tell us why this is going to be the greatest trunk or treat since sliced bread.
Because it's not just a regular trunk or treat where it's kind of boring and we just have everybody has candy. We've got a whole bunch of really great ideas for our trunks. I don't know, it's going to be a lot funner than what you usually expect from a trunk or treat. When we're working really hard to put it all together. So, and we're working hard to make it easy for people that want it to be easy as well. Like, we're encouraging everybody to be creative, but if you don't necessarily feel creative, we're working to make sure that you have some options to help you with that creativity. So
Awesome. By signing up, you will have everything that you need provided to pass out from your trunk. That was a concern that some people had. So if it's candy, if it's whatever, it'll be provided. And then also we'll have food, we'll have some activities. So it's going to be, it's not like your normal boring trunk or treat. Should be fun. Family reunions coming up in Atlanta. If you want to get early bird tickets, I think they're early bird pricing through maybe mid-October. I don't know the exact date, so I just change it every time that we have this slide up. But if you want to scan and register, one thing that I will tell you is, as I was looking at hotel rooms, they are pricey. well, not pricey, but they're pricier than the Vegas rooms were. And there's a few less options that are really nearby. So if you want to go, I would even jump on and reserve a non-refundable room, even if you don't want to buy your ticket yet. Or I mean, a refundable room, not a non-refundable, that you could get your money back if something changes and you decide not to go. But I think as we get closer to that early bird ticket pricing going away, more and more rooms will fill up. Also, if you're interested in a pricing, if you're just like, I want to go, but I don't want to pay the $900 today. See Chris Bradford, he left. I don't know where he went. He's probably setting up somebody's family reunion pricing right now. But we will spread that out over 3 payments for you so that you can have it paid off in time to go to family reunion, but you don't have to pay it all at once. And we'll purchase that on your behalf so that you have the early bird pricing. Do not let cost be a barrier to entry in this one. Fun fact, Mega Camp must have been like off the hook. I'm so sad I missed it. But this sold out over 50% when it was in the first pricing tier, which is wild. Because the last few years, like, wasn't even 50% till maybe a month before the event. So I think it's going to be pretty massive.
I had an additional discount in the first 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, for people that went to Mega Camp, or then we shared it all over the place and we had an additional discount. I have a question about wants and needs. Are you guys okay? Because I want to make sure we give our guests enough time. Are you okay if we add wants and needs on the board at the end? Does that work for everybody? Okay, so I'll put this slide back up after we get done with our presentation. And then during lunch, we can put our things on the wants and needs and we'll talk about them at that time. I want to make sure we get to them, but I also want to make sure we have enough time for everything else. When you're making your calls, why would you do them in any other way besides a TCPA friendly and compliant way? Because you like to give your money away to, I don't know, whoever gets your money. Okay, with that being said.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
I know Bradley's done a really good job, like when you go to your emails, he has the links for everything there.
Yep.
And we have links for training. Do we have a training video that goes over that in case anyone wants to brush up on it?
A training video that goes over
Well, like one of the
TCPA?
times when we had a TCPA class in here, the training video of that.
I think that link there for Command Connect is a learning module.
It is.
Command.
So if you go into command, so you're logged into command and then you'll click across the top, it'll say connect. And then you could just search for it too, but either that or it's learning topic and 47. But yes, there
If you
is
go,
videos
like,
for that.
On Command Connect and then search TCPA.
That's a way underutilized, guys. If there's anything you're wondering about, go into command and just type it in your search bar. And I bet you there's a training for it somewhere.
Or even content, like if you want to do a buyer seminar or a seller seminar or seminars, they already have everything pre-created and populated.
And even a playlist for how to do it.
Yep.
Playbook. Okay. I think my clicker's not working. You might get Colin. All right, I am super excited for this one. Matt Mueller is our appraiser specialist today. And I'm excited because he was early. And I just got to talk to him for a minute and I think it's going to be super valuable. So I want to welcome him and we are going to add value to our business. So Matt, thank you.
Hey.
Matt or Matthew?
Matt, I go by
Okay.
Matt.
Okay, I was like, I
can
instantly
name
just shortened it.
Matthew, yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Love it.
Anyways, it's awesome to be here. Thank you for the invite, to come and rub shoulders with you and talk about appraisals in general. We can get as specific as you guys want. I thought about just like putting an appraisal on the screen and then going line by line, and then everybody would be drooling and asleep. So we're definitely gonna try and have a little bit of fun and talk about the appraisal industry as a whole, and maybe some of the questions you have. And then I wanted to start with a way for you guys to get all that, everything off your chest when it comes to appraisals. You know,
You were great.
I know. And hopefully all these, I hope for some really negative and nasty and mean comments that hopefully were directed at us as at appraisers in general. Maybe hopefully not me, but exactly, because anyway, but yeah, so, and this is the
There's
clicker
your
to
clicker.
move forward.
Yep.
Okay, so, and I use a couple words on there pretty intentionally, especially the word partners, because that's how I see you as a partner with me in this whole thing we call the real estate transaction. And so I use that word like totally intentionally, and love to speak and talk to realtors on a daily basis. I call you guys, and hopefully you guys feel like you can call me. And bump questions or, whatever, or just chat, I love that too. So we have like a good working relationship. I see some friendly faces out there, and I don't know who is responsible to have me here today, but thank you. So, and then how long do I have?
You have at least an hour if you want it.
Okay,
So
Just wait.
hour and 10.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And then, so anyway, if you guys want to have my contact information and an easy thing, obviously there's the QR code. And I'll move forward if everybody's ready, but so this is the part where we can have a little fun. And you guys can get, like I said, everything off your chest. If you have a war story, or if you have a gripe or a complaint, just give it to me. You know what I mean? So in your opinion, or what have you seen that can go wrong during the appraisal process? Anybody brave enough? We got some veterans out there that or maybe, hopefully you have some. I don't know. Is everything totally peaches and good, or is it sometimes there's problems?
Yes.
How about a low one?
Yeah, low appraisal.
Oh,
value.
that's the next slide. Cool. Okay.
I've had things where, like the house next door, literally right next door, sold for higher. My appraisal came in low. I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, this one sold, it was a comp, blah, blah, and it was that they got a view credit on the other property. And I was like, tell me more. They're literally next door in a subdivision in Hooper, Utah. Those are pretty similar views, right? So that was one that came in low and had to kind of talk through that one. And what was the difference?
Unbelievable,
Yeah,
actually.
it's kind of crazy.
Okay.
It wasn't
Sweet.
you, by the way.
I didn't think it was. Okay, good. Yeah, let's go. I love it.
I had one that came in low, and it was because they pulled comps that were not what I would consider similar, like based on
Okay.
the house size, where I was like, the nearest closest comp was 700 square feet smaller, which to me is just like, I understand that it was a rural area, but I was like, I think, anyways, it's something.
I
Yeah.
love it.
It was weird.
I don't love it, but I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I do. So thanks for sharing that. I really do. Anybody else want to have fun? Let's go.
No value for solar system.
Ooh, love that one.
Well, that's gonna get
That's,
spicy.
that's a good topic. Yes. Zero value.
Zero.
Okay.
Or like a condition on it, lower condition. Using different comps because its perception of the condition.
Yeah, the C rating.
Yeah.
Or the Q rating. Yeah, I love it. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear for sure. And yeah, anybody else got anything else? It's fun.
I wouldn't say it's fun.
Well, fun for today in this little environment.
Fun for example purposes. We have a house built in the '70s up in Bountiful that measured like 800 square feet smaller than the county had it, and the MLS had it, and it's still
The appraiser measured at 800 square feet smaller.
much smaller.
Okay,
And it luckily is still appraised for the purchase price, but the buyer was still, upset about it.
Yeah.
We had to work it out,
Big difference.
but that wasn't really the appraiser's fault.
No, I get it for sure. But it caused a hiccup. Yeah, for sure. I saw a couple other hands if anybody wants to. I mean, we can move on, but yeah, it's fun.
I had one where they were like, Centerville is not Bountiful, when it was like one block away from, it was like one block out, and like. It's just kind of like they also did stuff with like the QC, the C1, C2. Stuff was all brand new, but they were doing like C2 on things, and it's just like, it's ridiculous,
Yeah, that's a perfect word for it, really. Okay, yeah, got another one. Sweet.
I've got plenty.
I love it. I love it.
I had a lender buddy of mine order 2 appraisals at the same time to see if they came in
Uh-oh,
And-
I know where this is going. Okay, go.
like 6-figure difference.
What?
And he sent them to me. And it was 2 appraisals a day apart, same property. And it's just like,
it's frustrating on this side that there's so much control. On what I say is what side of the bed you woke up on. Or like how those two things can happen.
Yeah, totally. In agreement.
I think there's a ton of misconception around FHA and VA and what the repairs are gonna be, and then also the repairs do vary. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, this is gonna get flagged 1,000%,
Yes.
and then nothing, but like some random thing will get flagged, and I was like, but you didn't see the painted in broken window, like there's weird things like that. So I think there's a lot of misconception around FHA and VA, and I feel like agents have, unless they do those types of loans a lot, I feel like they have a little bit of like maybe fear or misconception around them too, and so they don't look at those equally when you're comparing offers.
Yeah, and I have a slide on that for sure, and we can talk as long as we want, if you guys want, about those kind of FHA questions, and you know, it's definitely a hot topic and stuff like that. So, yeah, and so I just wanted to give you guys a minute to vent. And I mean, now's your chance right here to an appraiser, vent all you want, because I mean, I want to listen, and I want to hear what you have to say for sure. So anybody else, just give you a chance.
Just one last thing I thought it was quite interesting on an appraisal that I was fighting with an appraiser over. That sometimes we don't think about this, but it really matters what we say in the remarks about a property, because when the appraiser goes ahead and he's comparing a crappy comp to ours, he doesn't know, when he can only go off of what it says on the MLS, and if they didn't do a very good job of highlighting good attributes or glossing over the crap, then we end up having to just go with it, because the appraiser doesn't have the feedback of everybody saying, yeah, I looked at that house and it looks not anywhere near as nice as this house. And then the appraiser may come in and use that as a comparable. Because they don't, what we say as real estate agents on our remarks and stuff really matter.
Really do, yeah. And I tell this to people sometimes when this comes up, is that, yeah, I don't get the luxury of like walking through each comparable. You know what I mean? I do take a photo tour of all the photos. I read all the comments. I click on maybe an attachment that might be on there. I compare that to county records and so on, and you know, do all the things that we can do. But a kind of a fun fact is when we're writing an appraisal, we have to put data source, verification source, and just putting an MLS number there is not what is compliant with the industry standards of, like, you know, USPAP and all these other things. It has to be verified through other sources, and the best source is to call a real estate agent and have a conversation about that transaction. And that can be a little tricky if it's 8 months ago or whatever, and you know, all these things, and can possibly cause a small delay in, you know, getting that report finished, because that verification is pretty important. So I hear you loud and clear on that one.
Getting the agents to pick up the phone, give you the feedback.
My first thing is,
Yeah.
thank you so
Answer
much
your
for
phone.
answering, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I get it. And I probably the same for sure. Everybody gets busy and stuff like that. So
Can I ask a question? And I don't know if you want to go into this or not, but there's a lot of chatter around not the appraiser, but a third party walkthrough person coming through people's homes.
yeah, that's a thing now.
That's a thing. Do you want to talk about that at some point, or is
Yeah,
that not?
we can
I
definitely
just, that's
address
something
that.
that I was surprised about, and it would be nice to know what that, like. what to
Hybrid
expect.
style,
Yes.
what's coming down the pipe and all this
Yes.
fun stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we can definitely chat about that for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just remind me, we can
Yeah.
do a little take on that for sure. If there's any other hands, I thought I saw one more, but you know, like I said, venting is a good thing. It's kind of like therapy, right? So yeah, you guys can like get it all out and off your chest and stuff like that. And to be honest, I want to shake my head a lot and say, I hear you and I agree with you 100%. And I really hope that you haven't had that experience with me. But that said, I've got maybe a little two anecdotes to kind of like paint a picture about kind of this issue. And it's too bad that sometimes it has to come to a fight or a serious disagreement, and there's not a lot of listening going on, and there's not a lot of consideration going on, and unwillingness to take a step back and like really do listen or consider all these things from all the different sides, right? But the reason why an appraiser is involved in the transaction at all, I mean, there's got to be a reason, right? So there's kind of like, I like to use these anecdotes to help describe that a little bit. By the raise of hands, do we have any, well, since it's football season, we have some serious sports fans in here? Okay, couple hands, that's it, okay. How about some nervous flyers, like getting on the airplane, you guys get a little nervous? So, all right, well, I only see a couple hands, so we'll go with the sports one, I guess. It's kind of like, you know, you've got a game going on, and all the fans and the coach and the players, they want to win the game. They want to, you know, they want to get a win. But the referee's there to be able to make sure it's called fairly. And if they started calling it totally lopsided in one way, all in favor of one side, then it becomes not fun at all. And so, and I like to think of an appraiser a little bit as a referee in the sense that they're independent, they're not on a commission, and they're kind of there to call it fair and to look at all the data, even if we have to watch a replay, you know. And I think that's maybe part of the problem is some of the replays aren't being watched, or when there's, you know, it's just the appraisal's turned in and then a wall goes up. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, the appraiser puts this big wall up and, you know, it's done, it's in stone, you know what I mean? And that can be super frustrating, I get it. And so some of the things maybe we could talk about would be like preemptive things, or things to kind of tee it up, you know, right there, so it can be really knocked 300 yards, or, you know, whatever that looks like. And so some of those things we can talk about. Let's see here, and how to prevent surprises that derail your deal. So yeah, exactly what I'm kind of talking about. And I want you guys to, you know, be as successful in this process as possible when working with an appraiser on a real estate transaction. So you know, we can kind of go through some of these kind of quick. I need whoever created your presentation before this to create one for me, because that was awesome. I don't have a lot of skills in this, so I'll try and make it funner than the slides, you know, show, but whatever. Because some guys go crazy with, you know, getting the right picture and this and that, you know, to go along with their presentation. But let's see here. So obviously you got to get an appraisal. It's a critical step in the transaction. It also can make or break the deal, which we've been kind of touching on. And so, but we've kind of touched on what could go wrong with an appraisal to get that final, you know, to get it stamped, to get it, you know, approved by the underwriting. And so a couple of things, and I'm often surprised when I talk to people, sometimes agents don't really understand, well, okay, what's an appraiser, like what guides an appraiser, what problems arise for them. And for example, we have to deal with USPAP, we have to deal with lender guidelines, which I call scope creep, making the scope larger and more expansive than what even some of the national standards are. For example, I'll get an underwriter that will call and say, hey, look, Matt, why didn't you bracket the year built on this? And let's say the home was built in 1950. And my very best count on the street was built in 1949. You know what I mean? And it's next door and it sold that month. You know what I mean? And so You know what I mean? And so bracketing is a big thing for appraisers when it comes to underwriters, or the square footage. You know, 1 square foot, 2 square foot under the subjects is not bracketing. It's hilarious and it's stupid. And it doesn't need to happen, but does it exist? It does. And so those are kind of some of the things that when you're talking to an appraiser, when they're selecting their comparables, they're selecting them sometimes. And maybe this is where some of your frustration comes in about the comp selection or this or that, but they have to bracket sales price, which we'll get into the price of things if you want to, for sure, because I never put the criteria in the MLS under price. Never. I never search by that. I put in my parameters that I like to use, and price is not one of them. Okay. Because other, you know, it just, so we can talk about that as well. But what else? So all these things that appraisers, just so you know, I'm often surprised about, you know, people don't understand the rules that we have to follow and the things that we have to do to be able to comply. And to be honest, every time I sign my name to something, it could be a career-ending decision, to be honest. And same with you guys, I think. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, it can put you in some serious hot water with the state or Fannie Mae, FHA, HUD. All those guys can, even years down the road, call you and say, hey, we want to talk about this file. You know what I mean? Or get called in, or go to education, or pay a fine. All these things, right? And so there's a little bit of pressure or you know, rules to be followed for sure when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, any questions about that? All right. Oh, there's the low appraisal value. So I think this is probably pretty well most common. Obviously stressful. It can kill deals. It can stress out the sellers because they're gonna have to decide, are we gonna sell our home for less? At this point, are we gonna put it back on the market and try and get a new buyer? You know, what's gonna happen with this whole thing? And so we can maybe sit and chat about some of the solutions about this whole thing. And now, obviously, I have the same data that you guys have. We have the MLS, right? In Utah is a non-disclosure state. So, you know, everything that we have is on MLS, and if it's not, then it's a whole nother ball of wax. We have to verify, we have to get closing statements, we have to have the information about the house, all this stuff, right? And so when it comes to this, who gives, and when you have an appraisal or you're going through that process, who gives a packet of comps to the appraiser? Awesome, cool. What's your experience with that?
It's been pretty positive every time, but I have a light touch because you don't want to step on
You've
someone's
heard,
toes.
you've
That's your
heard.
job. I mean, that's your job, you know.
I've heard too, yeah.
CMAs are our job, appraisals are your job. So I it's a light touch. Like I put them in a folder and I say, here is the comps that I use to price this property and some that have come up recently. And if you have any questions, let me know, you know.
Love it.
And I usually do include a list of upgrades that have been put in the house as well.
Cool, love
I
it,
also let me like the activity.
Yeah.
Yeah. The offers.
love it. Good information.
Do you like it when agents use the suggested MLS comps? In that, actually, as an
attachment?
MLS, as an attachment?
Yeah, yeah, my opinion as a whole is more information, the better.
Okay.
And so when I have all the information that has been looked at up until that point, okay, what if there was a pre-listing appraisal? Would I want to know that? Heck yeah, I would want to know that, because it helps set the listing price. And it, you know what I mean? Or it was a for sale by owner, and somehow a realtor is involved on one side, and well, and it's being sold to a relative, and it never hit the MLS. Well, where did the sales price come from? I'd like more information about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all these things. I mean, there's a
List of
million
upgrades is also
scenarios. What?
The list of upgrades is also helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love the list of upgrades. So, and on occasion, I'll copy and paste those right into my report and say,
Yeah.
these were provided to me by the listing agent, and so forth. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love that kind of stuff. And so, but you know, I don't want to make your job harder. I'm not saying, hey, you have to provide a list of comps. You have to do this, you have to do that. But at the same time, I also have heard stories where an agent will have something nice prepared and give it to an appraiser. And I heard a story once where the appraiser just ripped it right in half. They're all like shocked, you know, I'm like, why? So, you know what I mean? Like, wow. So,
Name names. I feel like I'm not even in the business animore, but I could guess.
well, that's the thing, is I was talking to somebody
While
when
ago.
I got here a little bit early and it's like, is the appraisal industry dying? You know, you'll see that headline sometimes or whatever. And sometimes I feel like it is, but when I got into this 26 years ago, I was definitely the youngest guy in the room. There was just like a bunch of old guys in there, you know what I mean? And gals, but mostly guys, to be honest. And I still kind of feel that way. There's not a lot of new blood coming into it, and that's a whole nother discussion that the industry is trying to figure out in general. But with that comes some of this mentality of ripping off conflict or something stupid like that. And I have to apologize as an appraiser for the industry for some of those actions. Again, like that's not necessarily right, for sure. So yeah, that's helpful. That was a long-winded answer. I'm sorry. Any other, let's see. So comp selection, I mean, obviously you want to choose. My search starts at the subject property and then it expands to what I would consider the neighborhood boundaries for buyers in that market. And for example, the Ogden East Bench, you know what I mean? That's kind of the Ogden East Bench, and I make it quite broad. It's probably from 20th Street down that way to the college, and definitely from Harrison up to the mountains. And then I want to look at that whole market, you know what I mean? And then you can kind of filter it down from there. You know, so obviously, like I said, we're looking at the same data. Now, for example, let's see, I get a realtor that we have a house on the Ogden East Bench, and and they send me or they, you know, have me send me a comparable, or maybe not even an agent, just somebody, you know, sends me a comparable of a home in Far West, and it's built in 2018.
It's a
That
little bit
happens.
different.
That happens, right? And so, you know, we have a discussion about it and a reasoning, and we kind of have an understanding about that kind of stuff. And so there's those kind of outrageous examples, but those happen for sure.
Those are better comps for when you're cutting your taxes.
Well, for a while, I stopped doing tax appeals in Weaver County because the people there were, yeah, really, really hard. In fact, there was a guy there, me and him, and I never have like communications with people, it seems like. But yeah, him and I went the rounds. But he's no longer working there, so I guess I don't know. And then Jared Chrysler is the new Weaver County Assessor, right? So, and he's great. Yeah, so now I'm willing to do a tax appeal again. So, yeah, what were we talking about?
We were starting so you start at subject property, then we go into the neighborhood, what's similar neighborhood area.
Mhm. Yeah,
Just
so
finding relevant.
kind of just in general, if you're gonna provide comps, go back to Realtor School 101 and just be like, you know, if you have, you know, what in your mind or whatever, just say, okay, what is a comparable? What's the definition of a comparable? Are we on the same page about that and stuff like that? And usually, I mean, we're talking about the 1% of transactions, right? We're talking about just the one-off, but every transaction is super important because, you know, they put food on our table and where you make a living and all these things, right? They're really important. And so just kind of come into it with that mindset of what is a comparable, and if we're both reasonable, I think that we'll see that, you know what I mean? And then a comp next door, like an example was given, it just boils my blood, you know what I mean? And as a side note, This,
That might be the
okay,
same appraiser that ripped
let's
it.
say this, yeah, that too. Let's say this, there's subject and the street has a few recent comparables. Okay, but there's one that was a dog and it was low value and it sold because of this or that circumstance. And it's like 50 grand lower than the majority. Is an appraiser required to, what's an appraiser required to do? Are they supposed to just act like it doesn't exist? Or are they supposed to include it and then explain what's going on with that
Second
on the
option.
comparable grid?
Second option.
The second option. Yep, that's right. And so I may have a situation like that where I'll put that as like a 6th, a 7th comparable. It doesn't support value at all. It's horrible, you know, it would kill the deal, right? But then I explain, okay, hey, look, this was a really dated house. It was an estate sale. The kids lived out of the state. They didn't even want to fly here to go to the funeral. You know what I mean? Let alone get, you know, they're successful. They just wanted to dump this thing. It was a pain in their neck, right? That's the one I want to buy, but yeah, okay. So, and I do flip houses on occasion, not very often. I've built houses. I've done the gamut. I love real estate, and stuff like that. So, you know, and I love my job. I love the fact that I can go into people's homes and walk around and, you know, it's kind of a weird job. You know, you go in their bathroom and you go in their closet, you go in all these weird places, right? Same with you guys. And then I get my office time. And so I love my job. I think it's a fun job. I've enjoyed it. It's been great to, you know, providing for my family, and I hope it continues for sure. So
I'd like to know more about what you go through when you are identifying comparable properties. Like kind of, you call it bracketing. In my head, I say parameters. What kind of parameters are you looking for aside from like the neighborhood market? Like,
yeah,
what's kind of the common distance?
yeah,
on
we can
each
go
side
into
of
some
it?
detail about that for sure. So, okay, we've got a Rambler style, or let's say, we'll just stick with the Ogden's bench since we've been
Yeah.
using that example. So you've got cottages up there. Most people will label that as a Rambler on the MLS. Sometimes you'll see a cottage style. So what if I didn't click cottage and I'm looking for Ramblers up there, right?
Missed it.
Something to
Yeah.
think about, right? And so can appraisers make mistakes like that? Oh, absolutely. I could have forgotten to put click cottage style. What about 2 stories? Do I compare a 2-story style home with a Rambler?
Technically, no.
Have I? Yes. Yeah, I have, for sure. To me, obviously I would choose the same style of house for the subject property. Let's just say, the most recent comp is almost 12 months old. It's bigger, blah, 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 all these differences. Or if there's a 2-story home, the gross living area ends up being pretty dang close because they're a 2-story that's very small, you know, like 500 on this level, 500 on the second level, and the subject property has 1100. You know what I mean? Am I going to use that because it's next door and it sold yesterday? I'm going to. So style. Year built, I typically search around 10 years newer and 10 years older. Is that doctrine? No, but like it works, right? Same problem is probably what you guys do. What else?
I guess square footage, like what's kind of, because in that particular instance that I had an issue with, like the next closest comp, it was like they weighted style over square footage. Like literally the next closest comp was 700 square feet smaller than the subject property.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
So my first search doesn't have square footage in it. Other than, okay, maybe I'll lop off,
The 5,000 square.
yeah,
foot
like
houses.
something crazy, you're like, you'd never
Yeah.
consider, you know what I mean? I mean, like, okay, I click it, no square footage, I click it, 200 returns, I'm like, okay, I can't look through 200 things. So I filter it down, like I put a square footage one in there, maybe a 1,000 square feet bigger, or maybe even more, like just to kind of make a cut and say, okay, I want to get rid of, because I don't want to put in a price. And maybe that's just me, but I don't wanna put in a price. Maybe I will if it's a huge market and it's Salt Lake or whatever, and I wanted to filter it down even a little bit smaller, but it's gonna be a big difference, like if it's a 400, if the sales price is 400, I'll, put it at 550 or something crazy. So I don't have to look at, all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
That makes sense.
just, common sense stuff, right? So,
Do you
any other-
filter it down ever when you're doing just that initial, do you start pulling in like garages and that kind of stuff? Or do you do that more in your analysis when you're comparing them out? Particularly, I think Ogden East Bench, right? Like, depending on the area, like
Yeah.
a 3-car garage is almost unheard of in some of those neighborhoods, right? So that would bring a lot more value versus non.
Yeah.
But you'd also totally limit your comps.
Right, so I did a pre-listing appraisal for a realtor on the Ogden East Bench a couple weeks ago. And I pull up and I'm like, holy cow, I wanna buy this house, it's a cream puff, it's amazing, it was a split entry. But yet looked like brand new, had great appeal. It had a detached garage that was a 2-car garage plus a whole nother area, and they had it epoxied, finished, heated, gym, sweet, it was awesome. And do you see that on the Ogden East Bench? No, never. What's that thing gonna add to the value, right? I'm like, a little bit, And so, yeah, on that one, super important, added a lot of value to the transaction for sure. And so, yeah, was I looking for something like that? Did I find something like that? No, I didn't. Yeah. So I typically don't like put in parameters for garages and stuff like that. Mhm.
What do you like to get your search filtered to? Like you start out and it pulls up 200 and you're like, oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then you kind of filter it down. Like, is 10 a healthy number?
No, much
Like,
more.
20 is a healthy
Yeah,
number?
I'll look through anything under 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How often do you use the effective year built in that?
I love the word. So people don't really like the public, right? Effective year built, you have to explain to them. What's the effective age of a home? To me, that's the most important thing. Year built, almost meaningless, right? Almost. But effective year built, in this case that I was just talking about, the effective year built was probably like under 10 for sure. And because they had everything, furnace, plumbing, electrical, and new, all the things, new kitchens, everything. And they had rented it as an Airbnb. So you know how some of those Airbnbs get, right? They're awesome. They have to appeal and they look amazing. They're furnished amazing, all that kind of stuff. So,
So, okay, along that same line, sorry, just a question.
no,
on
go.
that. At what threshold or what particular things would you quantify as it being justified to put an effective year bill in? Like, what would you consider qualifies it as an updated effective?
Ooh, that's a good question, because that's
One instance of it truly being versus just an agent.
Yeah, no,
It's
exactly,
easy
because
one
I'm like updating the kitchen, but everything else is still original, obviously, to me.
I don't recall the last time I read in the comments, hey, this home, the effective, using that term, like people just don't do it because what? The public doesn't understand, right?
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know why. It'd be awesome, for an appraiser to know that. Instead of saying, I mean, both are awesome. Listing all the features and updates and all that kind of stuff. I get a sense for the effective year on it,
I
right?
feel like I've never put it because I don't know how to determine.
And because it's subject to opinion, right?
Yeah,
It really is. And so that way it's so.
okay, there's
then
no
it-
like standardization related to it, of course, would be reasonable about it, but just there isn't a standard.
Yeah, you could poll 100 appraisers or whatever, and you wouldn't have a consensus, I don't think. So that's why it's just one of the measuring tools that we all use versus, a big, huge thing that we use.
Okay.
Do you look at the effective year built that's on MLS? Because when we put it in, we can put whatever year we want.
I don't, for that reason.
Well, this is being the question we ask.
Yeah.
Is we're listing a house.
Is there an algorithm for that? No, I mean, I wish, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Maybe soon, I don't know, who knows?
No, we don't want AI for that.
Yeah, and that's probably why, in general, the list of features or, an idea or what do photographs do? They tell 1,000 words, right? And so, and photographs, to be honest, are kind of misleading. You guys ever, you want to show a house and you're like, this is gonna be awesome. and you looked at the pictures and all that kind of stuff, my client's gonna love this house, and you take them there and it's a huge
And
letdown.
you're like,
Yeah, because those photographers, they're amazing. They did like, they can make it look awesome. So. And that's kind of the part of the deal is when we go through this process, yes, I do look at the photographs, but then I really do call it, I love to call the agent and say, give it to me straight, whatever. Let's talk about this for a second. And I try not to be long-winded and take your time and all that kind of stuff. And I don't necessarily have to do it on everyone. And we reuse comps, and I've called on that one and, stuff like that, so. Okay, well, we spent a lot of time on slide 1, which is awesome. So I think that's a big issue, to be honest.
It's the biggest.
It's a big issue. Is there an exact formula to use to have success on everyone? No, but I think this working relationship and providing a comp packet of consideration, all the things that you can do to tee up success for that. Or just a conversation, or whatever that looks like, whatever you have time for, and maybe it's a slam dunk, and most of them are kind of slam dunk, to be honest. So, but if you have, I guess the bottom line would be, if you're worried, maybe do it. You know what I mean? Because I get the sense immediately when I call. I like to call or send a voicemail, or maybe like a way to introduce myself if I don't know them, to be able to set that appointment, just to make a friend or a colleague or a partner. You know what I mean? I could go on to,
How can you get all your colleagues to be on your page?
oh, I don't know. Maybe I should speak at their thing. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not trying to be like, ooh, but like,
No.
this is how I honestly feel, like, and how I run my business. So I don't know. But so what was I gonna say? Oh,
Sorry.
that's why I'm not trying to bug you to set an appointment. I really just want you to let you know that I've been assigned the appraisal, that I'm gonna go there on this day. I usually ask for a 2-hour window of time. Not that I'm gonna be there 2 hours, but I go back to back, you know how it is. And hopefully I can arrive in that 2-hour window, and I try and communicate if I'm gonna be late, or if I'm gonna be, if it's a vacant house and there's a cat, I try and say, hey, look, everything went well. The cat's still in the house, the door's locked, all this stuff. So, there's trust there. Trust is super important. Okay, that answer the question that somebody put out?
I think so.
Okay. I don't even know what the next slide is. Oh, okay. Oh, the next thing, it could lead to a low appraisal, mistakes. Do people make mistakes? Do I make mistakes? Probably, yeah, for sure. Mistakes can happen across the board. They can happen on the listing. They can be wrong on the county records. They can be wrong in the appraisal. They can be, things can be wrong, right?
For humans.
Right? So, what are some of the big things that lead to a problem? Square footage can lead to a huge problem. For example, you guys take a listing and the county record has 2,000 square feet on the main level. But that's wrong. This is because the garage is a 3rd-car garage, or has a big jog out or something inside the house, and the county just put it as a rectangle, right? Or something, there's a lot of reasons. And so square footage can be wrong, and it's listed and priced at 2,000 square feet on the main level, and the buyers think they're getting that. And then the appraiser shows up and it's 1780 or whatever, you know what I mean? Does that affect it? Yeah, what's the cost per square foot? I mean, it's a lot, right? So, bathroom counts, or comps, zoning mistakes, especially when we're talking about ADUs and all this stuff that people are, putting into homes now to make it more affordable, to subsidize the mortgage so they can rent the basement. Is it legal to rent the basement? All these things, right?
Can I ask a quick question on square footage, disconnect? So, for example, like Julie had an example of this where it's 700 square feet difference. Justin just had one as well. Square footage on the county records say one thing, the MLS says one thing, and then the appraiser maybe, because I'm often like, do you have an appraisal? Let's go off that because we know someone actually measured it. It wasn't just put in. So let's say that we do find a discrepancy. Do you suggest that we should tell them to change that with the county recorder's office. Cause I feel like
Well,
sometimes.
they wanna pay more taxes.
Yeah, I was like,
it's bigger.
too, right?
Yeah,
But it really does make it a challenge, for the next person who's going, well, county records only say this, but the last MLS says this, and then where do we go? Do you just recommend a measurement at that point from an outside party and then just go, just know it's gonna be this much, but probably don't change it because you don't
Yeah.
wanna pay more in taxes?
yeah. I'm not here to sell my services.
Yeah, no, but I'm just
And
curious.
I'm not, no ass, obviously, but I do. I measure homes for
Okay.
realtors all the time.
So I was gonna say, cause that feels like the safest, you're just taking yourself out of it.
I thought,
It depends, I mean, a little bit, but, generally, I try and be as fair as possible, like $200 usually. If you got me going to somewhere, rural, and it's a monstrosity, it's gonna be more, yeah. But, if there's a question, a lot of times, and I don't know what tools you guys have. So I see, all these, floor plans, with the photographs now, CASA. I have the ability to do that. I still use a laser measuring tape. I haven't got fully on board with like walking around with my phone to each corner and, doing that
Yeah.
whole thing. To me, I don't know, I like doing the laser thing. So there's different ways you can come at this, or they say, okay, I've been to the house. I look at the county sketch and there's a problem, right? You can tell the garage isn't quite right. This, because there's obvious things, additions and things to the house that could affect that. So it's the same question. What do you guys tell your clients when they buy that house and they get the card from the county, the little postcard, Do you tell them to like, oh yeah, here's all the details of the transaction? Or do you tell them to like, hold the dice and see what they come up with, you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. What else? Let's see. All this obviously needs to be looked at. And that's where I guess appraisal comes in low, earth and sales price. Then we kind of start, well, obviously, that's the first time you guys will read the appraisal, right? Or whatever you want a copy of it, you're gonna check it out. And so, and then you start going through it, and then all these questions come up, right? Is this right? Is that right? Where did this go wrong? All these things, right? Because you're trying to keep the deal together, right? And so, call me if you have a question about something on the appraisal, like, hey, a lot of the public says, oh, the number one question I get when I do it, and half of my work, and I designed it this way, is I call it private work. So non-lender, non-refi, all that kind of stuff, because I don't like to be a government employee. So that's what it boils down to. You know what I mean? Because that's what I feel like I am when I'm doing that type of work. Because I have to, I'm at the whims of what's going on in the market as a whole versus doing a private appraisal for somebody. And I feel like that's where I can use all my skill set versus being put in a box. You know what I'm saying? So little side note about that. And then where I was going with that is that for you to be able to, like, you have a question, feel free to call me. And the number one question I get is like, hey, Matt, yeah, thanks for coming out. It was great and everything, but you totally messed up on the room count and the square footage. I have a 2,000 square foot home, not 1,000 square foot home. And it's just a misunderstanding on how it's reported. You know what I mean? We have gross living area and we have, which is everything above grade all the way around the house. And we have ANSI standards now, which luckily because it set a standard for measuring, right? And so it's not like, hey, that lower level is walk out to the backyard, but in the, halfway up, it's below grade or whatever, that kind of stuff. And so it's a very common question I get about room count because it's all, but, and I put a paragraph about that in my report, but you have to read the report to see, to understand it. But it just catches your eye, right? So, okay. All right, any more questions about this one? Go ahead.
The question on, if we get into a situation, hopefully there's multiple offers and they go above list price a certain amount. I've seen it where the appraisers aren't like you. Matt's a good guy, by the way.
Oh,
That's
thanks.
who we call. But they stonewall you or whatever, and they don't know that you have multiple offers, they won't talk to you. I've just gone ahead and adjusted the list price up to whatever the highest offer was, but I don't know if you guys see that, because that's been a problem where it's listed at whatever, it goes over 20,000, and they don't see it, and then you get a low appraisal, but you got 3 offers at, that higher price.
Are appraisers really that hard to like get in touch with and have a
Some are.
conversation with?
They just won't call you back.
Wow, okay. That's
I
unfortunate.
mean, in their defense, realtors, we have the same,
Yes.
like, we have a lot of people that go, the agent will never call me back, so. It's a common problem. I think it's an industry.
It depends on what
problem,
it's
but there
about.
is A lot of
It
times.
depends on what it's about, right?
Yeah.
So something like that.
They should
In my
probably-
office is super important. Like that call would be returned. And so multiple offers, well, first of all, it's in an increasing market. And as this kind of goes back to my analogy at the beginning, is that an appraiser isn't there to like make the deal work. They're supposed to follow the data and to kind of maybe paint a picture about this all the time. You've done the appraisal inspection and you're just walking out in the driveway and you're chatting. Hey, so what's it, give me what's it worth? You've been through my house, you know what I mean? And for years I thought, man, I must be just like kind of dumb or like, I'm just not a guesser. I want to follow the data to a specific destination. And so, that's how I was, I guess, trained, or my mind works or something like that. But I want to follow the market data to a specific price range. I'm not so good that I can be like dollars and cents. Anybody that says there is an idiot. There's always like a price range. And where that range is on a multiple offer situation, if the market's truly increasing, we'll support that. If the market truly isn't as strong as we may think it is, and people are giving multiple offers because of other reasons, their family lives on the street, mom and dad live next door, and the wife loved something about the house, the guy really wanted it at the garage. I don't know, like there's factors, right? So what multiple offers means really is to be like really hardly looked at and considered. And do I want to know if there's multiple offers? Heck yeah, I do. Yeah. I want to know why too.
You can make some of those notes in the agent comments, like agent remarks section before you want to contract. Yeah. Before you put it.
Love those kind of notes.
That's why you're the broker, Sean.
Yeah, those notes are super valuable.
How do you factor in seller concessions right now, or is that something you like take into account if somebody's paid $30,000?
I was hoping nobody would bring up seller concessions.
I was like, oh, getting into.
They're getting big and they're a lot, and we got the whole new commission for you guys tied into there, and all that works. And I don't even profess to be an expert on that. I've read about it and I've tried to keep up on that whole thing, and it's a whole ball of wax for sure. So seller's concessions can be handled a variety of ways. Some appraisers are so conservative, I don't even know if that's the right word, but anyway, their prerogatives is that seller's concessions come off as a negative adjustment every time, no matter what. And I just don't think that's fair, because you need to know the circumstances of the concessions.
Yeah.
Did the concessions push it over listing price? That's the number one thing not the number one thing, the first thing I look at. Did the concessions push it over listing price? If so, then I'm gonna have some questions.
Yeah.
And then after those questions are answered, then I decide if it's gonna be subtracted off of the sales price under that part of the grid or not. There's not like an answer like, oh yeah,
It's just make
So
sure
I
I
shouldn't
more
say-
questions.
yeah, and some guys, I guess maybe it's laziness, or I don't know, that just, if there's $12,000 worth of seller's concessions, it's a negative 12,000. But I just don't think that's fair for the transaction, because really you're not doing your due diligence. You're not really following the process just to do it that way. And so if I can't get a hold of anybody, and if I know that the seller's concessions didn't put it over list price, and the transaction looked really clean, and I can't find it, and I look through the title work and all this other stuff, then I won't adjust for seller's concessions. I won't make that negative adjustment.
And do you kind of take into account too, like I know on our end, when we're pricing properties and I'm setting my seller up to say like, hey, here's kind of what you can expect. If I'm looking at 5 comps and all of them paid and there was an average of 8,000 or whatever, 10,000, I'll tell my seller that so they're prepped for it. So that really is kind of already considering it into the value of it.
Correct. Yeah. And then to bring back your point of like changing that listing price, I always look at listing history. I look to see where it started. And now, and there's even a place on the MLS now that says original listing price. That's super helpful. Love that addition. And so I don't have to like, analyze it and stuff like that. But yeah, listing history is super important. There's got to be a reason why you started at 3 and now you're at 350. You're like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Is there reasons that are valid? Absolutely. I could say, like, I could give examples, but we can all kind of think of them, crap, we really underlisted this property for one, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we messed up. We mispriced it, or off the bat, we got 1,000 offers day one, or whatever it looks like. I don't know.
We underpriced our view.
You what? Yeah, that, I mean, user, so, okay. Yeah, it's true. Okay, should we move on?
Yeah.
How long have I been talking?
You've got about like 10, 15 more minutes.
Oh, man. Okay,
We're gonna talk fast.
that's fun.
Yeah, this is good.
It's a little bit.
Oh, yeah, so, okay, you roll up, that's the subject property, obviously. And you're like, crap, comps for this sucker, right? Tricky, tricky. The land's worth more than the house probably, and that's a problem in appraising, it really is. The lender doesn't want a property that has heavy land value. They just don't. That's not what they're interested in loaning money on. And so how does it work, right? It's tricky. So these kind of things, lack of comparables. Luckily, we live in a market. It's not a huge issue, unless we're talking about like a cabin up in Monte Cristo, or even then, I can find comps. So that's when, okay, you got to get somebody that's competent enough to make a time adjustment, a location adjustment, because are you going to find something in 12 months? Probably not. We got to go back 24, maybe more, you know what I mean? And then what's the market adjustment from 2 years ago versus now? And that's like an 8-hour course. So you can do that another day. But,
Ooh, I do think that would be a good one at some point though.
yeah,
Have you talk about those adjustment pieces?
Yeah.
How you do over time and
Yeah.
area, because I know like rural areas too, sometimes you may have to go like Weber County versus Davis, or pull in some Box Elder County and Cache County, like depending on the location and the property. So
yeah, or like you got something up by East Canyon. There's a property up there right now. It's like 200 and something acres, 50 something $1 million. You gonna stay in Morgan County for that? Probably not. You're probably gonna have to jump over into Summit County. Stuff like that. Or you got something like, you got the whole Huntsville Eden scene, and then you've got like the Mountain Green scene, and you've got, all these places. Where is it appropriate to select from? You know what I mean? That's where, having somebody that knows what they're talking about, I guess, or has the
Knows the
judgment,
area.
or like, feels like, okay, I'm gonna, or expand my search for something more similar. Okay. Other reasons why you could have appraisal issue, accessing issues, incomplete. These are just kind of things that delay, right? I had one the other day, FHA transaction, and I get there, I'm required to, I hate this part of my job, I have to put my head and shoulders in the crawl space, and hopefully not.
I was like that middle
I'm
one.
not
might be a house
vaccinated
size
for black widows for sure, whatever. So yeah, but the crawl space access was screwed shut, and I'm not required nor going to, for a variety of reasons, mess with stuff. With water heaters, I'm not going to mess with. And so did it cause a delay? Yeah, because I had to go back to the property and after it had been opened up and take my photo and look in there and this and that. FHA recently said, yes, you still have to look in attics, but you don't have to take a picture, which is really, I
Like you picture in your mind and on it, Scouts on or pinky promise I stuck my head in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could go war stories for, I mean, we're short on time or whatever, but like, you know, what if you look in the attic, and to be honest, it's not a fun thing, you know, like, that's why we have, like, I have a big disclaimer, I am not a home inspector. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get up there and walk around in the attic and go through the whole crawl space. It's just one of those things that FHA requires us to do, but and I'm just looking, I guess, for big things. Is there standing water in the crawl space? I've seen it, you know what I mean? Or is there an eagle living in the attic? I've seen an owl, but yeah,
Bats in the attic.
you know, stuff like that. Am I gonna see it every time? No, like, I just take a picture, you know? But am I looking for stuff? Yeah, I'm looking for stuff. There was broken rafters on one that recently, the hairline cracks. I mean, who sees that? You know what I mean? So things happen. But the access is one of the things that if you guys are prepared for an appraiser to be able to access certain things that are, sometimes I can't even find the crawl space access because it's in the pantry and there's like, it's a hoarder and like, I can't even, you know what I mean? Can't see, I can't find it. So if you can, it helps streamline things if those places are open and accessible. And, you know, the appraiser can do his job, I guess is what I'm saying. Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Oh, here we go. So did I? Oh, we can touch on this one. Unpermitted. Did I skip one? No. Unpermitted additions. This rarely is an issue, but on occasion, if it's brought up or talked about in the real estate contract, if someone's highly questioning it, I don't verify to see if a permit is pulled on basement finish. So, yeah. But if there's a question and somebody's wanting to address it, it's best not to sweep it under the rug. It's best to say, is this legal and permitted, especially if it's bringing value to the transaction, like a basement kitchen. Is that a basement entertaining kitchen, or is it to provide income? And if so, is it legal? Yeah. Okay, good old FHA, health and safety concerns. And FHA, I'm not a VA appraiser. I always joke you have to have a Purple Heart to be able to do that. I think I may eventually. I would love to be.
There's the average age is probably about 90.
Yeah, I think I have
You're gonna probably have to do it.
I have a good chance. So I just need to do it. But that's, I call the good old boys network. It's interesting to say the least. But some of the repairs, like what we're talking about today, are similar. They're almost the same, right? And so your red flags, I put 2 pictures of the most common things, and a lot of times this is overlooked. This makes this is the pressure release valve on a water heater, and if that happens to get too much pressure, then the water will go down this tube to the floor versus spray out all over the room or over somebody, right? So FHA has determined that this pipe has to be on there for an FHA loan. Did anybody know that?
I've had to go, I actually went
So
to
many
Lowe's
issues.
myself and bought one, went over and screwed it on
Super awesome.
personally.
Like,
Yeah, it's so easy.
I'm surprised how common it is.
Yeah.
Are you
If
looking
I was-
for higher?
Yes. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I'll just,
It's like it's $7.
yeah, I'll just go take care of it.
It's just a stupid.
Good to go. Yeah.
What's the chances of someone getting scalded by like,
Right.
whatever? I don't make the rules. I just,
You
I
stay
get
first,
paid to
though.
go back and
Yeah.
check, and it's hardly worth my time, to be honest, but whatever. And to be honest, this doesn't leave the room, like sometimes I'll accept a
I
photograph.
was gonna say, can you, if you can very clearly tell it's the exact same house, will you accept? Because I've had people
I
tell me
will.
absolutely not.
Will it cost,
I'm like, still just pay, still charge me, I don't care, but it's just one
it won't
less.
cost less because
Good.
it's,
Yeah.
it's triggers a final inspection, which triggers a fee, which
Yeah.
triggers all this stuff, right? The paperwork and all that stuff.
Just
But what it
easier.
does do, faster.
Yeah, it's quick.
Is there a height limit that changes your crawl space to a basement?
Yeah, to be considered a basement has to be legal for, and that's a whole nother issue because what was legal when that house was built. Let's talk about egress, windows, all that kind of stuff. If it's typical, this is the way I look at it in just kind of simple term, is if it was typical for the era and legal then, it's legal now. Grandfather kind of thing, right?
I'd like to know about how you make adjustments for something like on a busy road. I know you probably don't want to adjust these questions.
Pick a comp on a busy road.
Yeah.
I mean,
What if it's primarily commercial and there's just like this fun one residential?
well.
Get a rezone,
charge-
sell a gold.
Yeah, maximize highest and best.
Price your value.
That's called highest and best use.
Best use, yeah.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I want, and I'll even go to, I mean, there's a lot of streets in Ogden. And if one's on 20th and one's on 36th, and you know what I mean, I might have to go find some. And then if there's one just around the corner and comparing the three, and they're all pretty similar, then I got my location adjustment. And it varies.
Right.
You don't want to say, oh, that's $10,000. You know what I mean? You want to have, you know, a reasoning, whether it's, you know, there's lots of methods for coming up with an adjustment. As long as you have one that will hold up and make sense to the market, is, you know, reasonable, you probably get away with.
Did we already ask the bedroom question?
No.
About what qualifies as a bedroom, a closet? I'm like.
Oh, I love it.
I'm always.
Everyone's always like, has to have a window and a closet.
Yeah.
There's blogs, endless blogs on this, okay? And so. Can't be access through a hall, or it has to be access through a hall, right? Well, the two main ones I get are what, you know.
Window, closet.
There you go, window, closet, windows, pretty important. Does it have to be a brand new window buck cut in and so the kid can actually get out? I mean, you know what I mean? That goes back to the question that he had, right? What feels typical for the area? Now, if a person does that, does it add more value to the house? Do I make an adjustment for a window that's been cut to, you know, like into the foundation, a new window buck put in? It's a brand new window, it's like 3 by 3 or whatever, it's big enough. And we see a line item adjustment about that? No, but do I consider that into why somebody would want to buy that house versus the neighbor's house that doesn't have that for their kid to be able to get out? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, for sure.
But the closet thing's myth, right?
And so back to that one, so you'll see a bedroom has a window, and then it has an armoire. Somebody just left there, right? Yeah. So I don't get into the nitty gritty of like, is that a bedroom or is that not a bedroom? Or, you know what I mean? What's more important to me is where's the value? And where's the market gonna see that value? Are they gonna care that their kid has to put their stuff in an armoire, or the closet happens to be in the hall and it's just like across the hall from their door? You know what I mean? If it's close enough, I don't get into the nitty gritty. I won't make a negative adjustment for that. And you know what I mean? If it's labeled bedroom or if it's labeled den, is the value the same in my eyes? Yeah. If certain things like what I just explained kind of fit, then yeah.
What if is there a minimum size? Like I saw a house recently that called it a bedroom. It did have a closet, it did have a window, but they wouldn't even be able to fit a twin bed.
Right. So that's a functional problem. There's lots of functional
Yeah.
problems with houses. There's functional problems that are not up to building code because the stairs, if you went down them, you're risking your life. Or the only staircase in to the basement is from the exterior, or it has a spiral staircase and it's homemade, or you know, all these things, right? But there is not a standard for a bedroom size. There is a standard for FHA as far as total square footage, and I want to say off the top of my head, don't quote me on this, somewhere around in the 400 range.
Okay.
For FHA as far as the whole, the
whole-
GL, the gross living area.
Got it.
Question on the peeling paint, where, with FHA? Is that gonna include, like, what are you specifically looking for? Is that just the primary home itself, or could that be a shed or a fence? Like, where?
Well, let's set the year built first. Who knows it?
1978 or.
Okay, so we've got the year built is a big deadline, right? If it's peeling paint after that, who cares, right?
Okay, but I've been flagged on a house from a VA appraiser that was built in 1996. And it was an exterior building and they wanted it
Did
painted.
you toilet paper his house?
No, but I did have,
or something
Strong
worse.
conversation.
Stir talking.
How are you flagging this? The house, what are we concerned about? And he told me it was a concern about that it could cause rotted wood.
Oh,
And that was a safety concern. And I was like, okay.
interesting. I guess that it's not a lead-based paint issue at that
No,
point.
yeah,
It's an exposed wood slash,
Right.
if left unchecked, is it gonna be a detriment to the bank's investment?
got it. Okay.
If I were to see that and it say, and I agreed with it and it said, yeah, there's a hole in the side of the house, we need to do something about it.
Yeah.
It's not a, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's extreme, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Is that left unchecked, will it, over time, will it degrade the property and the bank's investment?
Got it.
So, and then as far as peeling paint, that's inside, that's outside. And I'm not like, okay, let's just say I'm walking around a house, and it's all repainted and they missed the little teeny part under the eave, you know what I mean? It's just, I guess that's just a business call at that point for people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do I think that some kid's gonna die of lead poisoning? I hope not. Or, you know, like, I don't know. And then, okay, another thing, if you guys wanna know a little bit more about lead-based paint, you have a whole panel like this, and somebody goes by and scrapes it all off, and all's laying in the dirt. You guys.
They're gonna find that too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, at least take some dirt, cover it or something.
Yeah.
Because, well, the problem is that somebody has to go and take a picture of that area, and a person that's a good picture taker is gonna take a picture of the whole area, including the ground, you know, like the area, right? And if all that's crap's just laying in the dirt, why did you go through the process of doing it in the first place? If the issue is really lead-based paint, you know what I mean? The kid is more likely, I don't.
To pick it up off the
Yeah.
ground than to pull it off the back.
Straight out.
Yeah.
Any other FHA things? There's a lot,
There's a ton on FHA.
but these are I guess if you had to boil it down and say it's health and safety related things to either one, the property, or two, the occupant.
Ooh, roof with FHA.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're not doing a roof inspection on you're looking at the roof, right?
The best I can.
Is it, yeah,
From the
best
ground.
you can, right? So it's gotta be probably a pretty rough situation to be flagged to say the roof.
So what's
You call for a roof.
anybody know the
inspection,
standard on it?
3 to 5 years,
Yeah, it's 3 years.
3 years.
3 years remaining economic life. And if it's questionable, then a roofer has to come and say, hey, yo, it's good to go, or no, but. You know, depends on the roofer, right? So whatever, that's on their license, not mine. And so, but to me, if it's curling, if it's, and to be honest, what their standard is there evidence of leaks from the interior ceiling that are possibly caused by a leak in the roof. They want to know that, you know what I mean?
That's
And
all.
pretty much everybody wants to know, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like
That's
outrageous
just in general, yeah.
to say my roof is not gonna leak for 3 years. So, yeah. So those are the kind of things, I mean, there's common sense stuff that you can tell. And usually it's the west side or whatever, there's one side that's worse than another. And, you know, so there's that whole thing. And then the whole insurance thing, don't even get me started on like insurance companies, but yeah. Okay, any more questions on FHA? Okay. I feel like I'm running out of time. Oh, this is the extra credit one. Who's seeing appraisal waivers?
Just kidding.
Recently,
Has anybody thought of some of these things?
Yes.
You guys are being trained on this and talked about in the industry?
I feel like it's not talked about enough.
Yeah.
Breaking. So I feel like this would be a good.
Well,
like,
at first,
quick
okay,
touch Through.
It's like everybody's jumping up and down, like we got an appraisal waiver, one less thing we have to worry about, right? Right? However, there's some major concerns that, you know, some top people in industries on both sides are talking about. And the bottom line is, if you guys want to cover your butts on this whole appraisal waiver thing, I would have somebody sign something and saying, look, I would get an appraisal. You don't have to, but sign this for me so we don't have a problem down the road. And when they're underwater or whatever their
Yeah.
excuse is, right?
Appraisal.
They
waiver.
bought,
Yep.
they bought
Yeah.
20 cats and let the cats live with them in the house or, you know, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. If there was no appraisal or the value, something's happened with it. And we can, you know, we can talk about that. There's there's people definitely moving and shaking on this. And I guarantee it won't be very long before there's gonna be a pretty big lawsuit over it.
I think so too.
But it's tricky because all of a sudden it is one of those moments where everybody's like, sweet. You know what I mean?
One last thing.
And
Plus, I think consumer
It's-
education is gonna mitigate a lot of.
yeah, it's cyclical. We've seen it all. It goes through cycles. All the rules and regulations are tightened up. And then we reach there and it's like downhill and everything loose, you know, it goes crazy. And there's AVMs, there's like what you suggested, the virtual walkthrough, or you can get trained for like a couple hours to go collect the data for an appraiser.
Yeah.
And that an appraiser will use in a hybrid appraisal. And they, it's just somebody from
Which that third party.
Walmart that
has-
wants a part-time gig or whatever, that looks like.
The thing that's scary about that one specifically, and if you guys have this, I feel like we really need to start speaking out about it, but the thing that's scary is you have no idea who that person is. You don't know the kind of training that they had. They have not taken ethics. They do not have super access. So why the hell are
Super
they even
problematic.
walking through the house in the first place? It's really problematic. As a listing agent, your job is to protect your seller and the people that are coming into the home. And it's a problem.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna see it more commonly because it's cheaper and it's a bad option. Like it's a bad move for our
People come up
industry.
with some weird ideas and I totally agree with you about that whole thing. My software, I just found out this not too long ago, has an option where I can send a link to the owner of the home and they collect some of the information that comes up on the software link and they take pictures. I think there's even a thing where they can scan the square footage, like, on their phone and stuff like that. Will that be more utilized? I don't know.
I think that would be better.
I could offer that as like an option for people, but is it that much cheaper? It's really not. Like, to me, to have me come versus have me send you a link and have you do it is such a small difference in cost that I don't know if, but it is an option for people if they want to not, pay for a full appraisal versus whatever options that may look like, versus a traditional desk appraisal or some sort of restricted appraisal, or, what that looks like.
So in most cases where we all have a lender involved, the lender determines what type of appraisal, be it hybrid or.
Yeah,
So like your option to choose the cheaper version of a hybrid would be mainly if you were in a cash type of situation with,
Yeah.
or an appraisal waiver situation.
yeah, all the private type of work that would be out there from anywhere from like a pre-listing appraisal to an estate, all those kind of things is where my options come in. But I realize and recognize that you don't have options. You just got, it's just, it's the golden rule. It's who has the gold makes the rule, and that's the lender, and they have all these things. And I have to follow those rules as well. That's why I say half my work is lender work and kind of half is not, because when I do that work, I put in a box and I have to follow whatever, some crazy underwriter that might be having a bad day, just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, happens. So, but yeah, I just wanted you guys to I didn't know how common it was, to be honest. I hear about it, but I'm not in the transactions like you guys are, right? And see like so many transactions as this room sees. And so I was kind of curious, and I kind of thought a lot of hands would go up because you hear, but I just wanted you guys to be aware and think about what that might mean for you now or down the road, and just so you can be educated about it. So. Yeah. And if we're out of time or whatever, but and I do want to emphasize this. We've been kind of talking about the rare circumstances, or maybe it's a little bit more common on certain things. I hope that I provided you with a little bit more clarity on what appraisals look like and how to better help your transactions go a little smoother. And it rarely happens where, in my office at least, because I've kind of set myself up, I like to work. There's all different levels of realtors, and there's all different levels of appraisers, and there's all different levels of doctors, and just like anything. And there's people that know kind of what they're talking about, and there's people that don't know what they're talking about. And so, anyway, I rarely have an issue when there's a low value or a problem, and usually we can figure out why. There's usually a reason why something's not right. And that's why this happens. That's why there's an appraisal. That's why we're protecting the buyers and the lenders. I like to say, that's my eyes and ears are for that, that reason, going through a property, and not only just going through the property, but actually creating and building an opinion of market value. So anyways, yeah.
Love it.
So anyway, thanks a million for letting me come today. I like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's funner than just, like I said, appraisers get this weird reputation, and it is a real thing. I've been doing this for 26 years. The appraisal cave, and you just like work. I work from home. I didn't for a long time, but now I do now, and it works great for me. But yeah, it's fun to get out and network. It's fun to talk to my peers and to see faces. And so thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. That was awesome. Did you guys learn something?
Yes.
Hey, good. Thanks, Matt. That was so helpful. And one of the misconceptions is that we can't talk to appraisers. Is that true?
Yeah, we were talking about that when I got here earlier.
Yeah.
Obviously, I hope that you could clearly see by the end of me talking or whatever, that is a myth that needs to be busted for sure. And we can definitely have a good working relationship and talk and share information.
But you can't ask your lender to talk to the appraiser.
That's not necessary. It's kind of the same. Where I guess, there's gotta be a reason this exists, right? And so back in the day, I think what happened was, like, I used to work directly for mortgage loan officers. Like if I worked for a primary residential mortgage, I knew all the loan officers at that one branch, and I would go hit them up and I would talk to them, and we would talk quite often and this and that. And that became a little bit of a problem because we became so close as friends or whatever. And then the appraiser felt all the pressure to perform for that one individual. And so now it's set up completely different than that. You guys probably understand how it's set up. And so anybody that's financially tied to a transaction can't order an appraisal. And people have dealt with that in a variety of ways, whether that's in-house, separate department, or if it's like a separate AMC, appraisal.
Yeah. But we can talk, and I think one thing that most of this was like communication, right? It's weird, even if just like as a listing agent and a buyer's agent, if you just communicated with each other, like 90% of the world's problems would be solved through just having a conversation. And I think it goes right along the same lines as with the appraiser to agent conversation. If there's things you know about the house, let them know, because you know the house intimately as the listing agent. I know a lot of you come to the appraisals. Do you hate that or love it? Yeah. And then also just share the knowledge that you have, because that helps everybody's job be easier. Instead of, it's way harder, from my understanding, I've heard it's way harder to go back and change something versus giving the information up front.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's when we want to give the information, is when something comes in low, when if we had just given that information to start with, it would have helped us not have to overcome that hurdle.
The line that's not supposed to be crossed is obvious. I mean, obvious. You will know when you're crossing that line, whether that's a bribe or or something crazy, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like, hey, if you don't hit this number, man, I mean, I know where you live, kind of stuff. Like, that's obviously the thing that they're trying to.
The last thing, I don't think you went into it, but outbuildings and pools, what value do you give? Do you give like half the value of what if it's a $200,000 pool? Do you do 100,000?
Yeah, the advice I give people that want to put in a pool, it's definitely not cost and value. It's a whole separate discussion, but cost to build a pool is usually less than the market will react to having a pool. Because if they wanted a pool and they would just go pay the cost for a pool. So they want to deal on the pool, and that goes with everything for all these additional type items. It won't be dollar for dollar for sure. Now, where depends, so. With, like the most famous word in appraising in real estate, it depends, right? Is the pool over improvement, is it common for the area, all these things have to kind of factor in. Is it an old pool, is it a new pool? What kind of outbuilding is it? Is it heated and floored, or is it a pole structure? So all those things kind of go into it, but the general rule of thumb is that it's gonna be less than the cost to do it, because if they wanted it and it was, if there was property or a space for it, they would just go build a new one. You know what I mean? Or if it was near new, or they build what they want.
Okay, any other questions? I'm gonna have you hold
I
them
don't
for
have
just
the
a
exact
second.
color, sorry.
Matt, do you mind hanging out for just a minute?
Oh, no,
Sorry, I
yeah,
just wanna,
I could build as many.
is
questions.
that cool? I was like,
I think so.
I just wanna give our people, because Go Clear Windows has brought us lunch today. I know we're running late, I'm so sorry. I wanna give you guys time to come up here and chat. And then if you're okay, just to hold your questions till just after they give us a little conversation, tell us about their company. Then you can grab lunch, you can hang out and write your wants and needs on the board. Cool? Is that fair? Okay, awesome. So Kurt.
Yep. Hey, guys.
Kurt, welcome.
Can we close?
Bradley can help you.
I've got 8 short slides. I promise it won't be long. I know you're probably been here for a while and ready to eat and move on, so promise I will not be long. First of all, I did want to thank you for what you guys do. I know for a fact I would not be in my current house if it wasn't for a real estate agent. You guys work hard for your clients, and for me personally, it was a big deal. So thanks for what you guys do. It's very valuable and appreciated. Okay, so yeah, my name's Kurt, owner of Go Clear Windows and Services. All right, and then we got Lindsay here. She's technician and office assistant, helping me out today. So we just wanted to come and let you know about our services and what we do and the importance of clean windows. First question, when a buyer walks into a home, what is the very first thing they notice?
Smell.
Ooh. For me, that is a big one. That would be the first one. Light. So what's the ambiance? What's the feel of the home? Buyers decide how they feel about a home within the first 8 seconds. This is not anything new to you guys. So clean, bright windows can make all the difference when you're trying to provide that. So problem with dirty windows, they can make a beautiful home feel smaller. The home can feel darker, unwelcoming, home less cared for. If their windows aren't taken care of, what else hasn't been maintained? It can cost your sellers money and longer time on the market. So solution, Go Clear Windows. We're just here in Layton. Started in 2017, so been doing it for a long time even before that, but we launched in 2017. So professional window cleaning makes home shine. Quick turnaround. Usually you can give me a call 24, 48 hours. And we can get right to the house and take care of either inside, outside, whatever you need. We also do a lot of screen repairs. So those can get torn up, mesh, they look terrible. We're happy to come and clean those up. Quick, affordable, clean, transforms the curb appeal and interior immediately. I know you're jealous about that van. Look at that thing. Huge, right? We actually use it at Halloween time. For kids to come in and then you gotta get in.
If you want to do a trunk or treat.
Yeah. Hey, you bet. Additional services, solar panel cleaning, gutter, shutter, blind cleaning, and power washing. So those services you need, we'll be happy to help you out. So here's the value to you. Better listing photos, brighter rooms, and home feels bigger, can help properties sell faster and at a higher price point. The best part, we'll handle everything. Just give us a call. We can be there. And you look like a pro tier sellers. It is one of the simplest, highest return fixes you can recommend. And that's it. So we're just here local. Would love to be a part of your thought process. There's tons of window cleaners out there. But we really pride ourselves on treating the clients how we would want to be treated. I always look at somebody as if they were my mom, grandma, even my dad. We got a lot of men who also really appreciate good clean windows. So we really pride ourselves on taking care of the customer. So there's a question.
Mostly just a comment. We just started doing this as part of our listings and it's been a game changer for everyone. The sellers are super happy and the buyers. They do come in and they don't have the questions of like, oh, what else hasn't been maintained?
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite things that we've added on.
Awesome, thanks. One person said it puts a smile on the home.
Oh,
So
cute.
Lynn, you know, puts a smile on the home, so
That's cute.
there's something else, somebody else. will-
Is there another question?
Do you need a house to do before and afters on?
For
your house.
Yeah.
Well, my neighbors
have to.
took their house and so it's terrible. So,
Yeah.
How does pricing work? Stop.
Usually I do it by pane, so. Yeah, I'll just count them up, whether they're huge or small, that's the same, they kind of average out. Our price includes free screen cleaning, so. And, yeah, exterior is a certain price, interior. It's a different price.
By pain, like this client's a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a big pain in the butt, yeah. Yeah.
So you could probably give at least an estimate if somebody's counted up and said, I have X amount of pain,
Yeah.
you could at least get an estimate. that
Yeah,
way.
for sure.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, and then for you guys, there's a discount.
I was gonna say, I just noticed that too.
Yeah, 20%,
Very
discount. We'd be happy to help you out.
Great.
Get it taken care of. We did bring Costa Vida, so it
Nice.
might be a little cold.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we're gonna, yeah, we're gonna hang out with the others.
Hey,
And then if you do have a referral or a job, we do have 5 of these. Have you guys used this stuff?
Yes.
It's awesome. And if you do a lot of caulk, this stuff will come talk to me after. You're caulking something, this stuff is awesome, so,
Very
yeah,
cool.
we'll be here.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, thanks you guys. We'll send your info out in our recap email too, that will go to all of our agents.
Thank
So beyond just this, but there is a little discount for 20% off. So that's awesome. Grab your lunch. If you learn something, I think Matt's still